with or getting into. So let's jump into it. So jiu-jitsu is a marathon. So when I say that, what we all know what that means, but basically a lot of times the other cliche thing is that it's true, but a black belt is a white belt that never quit. Now let's get rid of the arbitrary idea of a black belt. Let's just talk about someone who's really good. Let's just say it that way. Everyone that was really good at jiu-jitsu sucked at first, right? Yes. That's one of the quotes. It says to be good at anything, you first have to, I think it's a Goethe quote, but I think it's like to be good at anything, you have to be okay with, being bad at it first. They'll say like, before you can be the expert or be the whatever it is, you have to first be okay with being the fool. Right. Yeah. You got to be okay with that. That's just the way it is. Right. And when you get into jiu-jitsu, you're going to suck at first, just like everyone else. And it's going to be very difficult at first, just like everything else. But you have to keep going. You have to continue on. And perseverance is the name of the game. Yeah. If you can persevere, you can be good at this stuff. That's really the thing that determines it. Talent, especially in jiu-jitsu, I've seen it as a coach so many times where, and even as a competitor and a person just on the mats as a student, you see people that come in with like really great innate talent when they first start. And a lot of times those people aren't the ones that stick around, right? Because what happens a lot of times, it looks like, is like these people come in with a lot of talent and they initially have this, like, they kind of go forward. So let's say you got two grapplers, grappler A, grappler B. Grappler A comes in, has a lot of talent. Grappler B doesn't. Grappler A comes in, beating the crap out of grappler B, feels pretty good. Grappler B starts to train hard, and then maybe grappler B beats grappler A. And all of a sudden, then it's like now they have to actually learn how to work hard. Yeah. And sometimes the talent doesn't work hard. It's like another quote, just throwing them out there. What is it? It's hard work beats talent when talent refuses to work hard. Right. And it's the truth. Like, you can be okay. You can be all right. And you'll be eventually very good if you can just continue to grind and work. But again, and if you're talented and you have hard work ethic, that's the magic right there. That's where you have like world beaters on your hands.
Yeah. I think when you are talented and you're committed, I think the learning curve is less. I mean, you catch on a lot quicker. Your body. Yeah, it's less at first, and I think sometimes it's an easier way to almost get addicted to jiu-jitsu because you're not the nail for as long. You almost you can kind of develop your skills, your techniques a little more quickly. And I think you learn, because some people get really discouraged early on.
It can be, but the problem is that if that person who's talented does not learn how to grind later on, because it's going to happen. Like, no matter how talented you are in the beginning, you're probably going to start running into people who are going to just like be able to beat the brakes off.
Yeah.
You're going to have to learn how to deal with that. And so it can be a good thing.
Yeah. I think adversity
can also be a bad thing.
Yeah, for sure. It's how you respond to it. Yeah. Okay.
But, to get through this, so here's some ideas and again, I'm not telling you if you train, I'm not telling you anything you don't know already. So like, just sort of stating that out there. We're talking about getting good at jiu-jitsu. It's going to take a long time. Perseverance is needed above all else. So let's talk about some things that you can do to persevere through jiu-jitsu and essentially take place in the marathon that is jiu-jitsu rather than it being a sprint. So one of the things that there's the old saying that the best way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time. Essentially to imply anytime you have any large task in front of you, the best way to do it is one small chunk at a time. But I was thinking about this. When you think about that idea, right? Like when you bite something, when you eat something, there's taste associated with it. There's flavor there. You might be enjoying the nourishment coming from the food or the sweetness that's there. There's something there for you every time you bite into something and eat it, right? But when it comes to things like long-term tedious things at times, or long-term things that have no real end in sight, it's very difficult to continue forward because again, there a lot of times isn't a pat on the back every time you do something. It's another day of training, another day of work, another, session, whatever it is. It's always this way. And this is kind of getting off into, off the mat stuff. But one of the things, for instance, that I do, and I'll tie this in just a second for you guys, is whenever I'm dealing with like a long-term work project that I have or anything that I'm doing, and then we'll talk about the jiu-jitsu, how this pertains, is because I have so much stuff on my plate and because I probably have like a touch of ADD, I do a lot of different things to try to manage it. So one thing is I work in like 33-minute blocks. There's a copywriter years ago named Eugene Schwartz, and I don't know how he came to the 33 mark because that's what he said he would work in. But I like it. So I was like 33 minutes, 33 seconds. And so I work in blocks there, and then I take a break.
How long a break?
5 minutes.
Okay.
Just a few. Just
what do you do? What's like a break?
Who knows? I might get up and just get out for. I might even take 10 minutes for a walk. Go outside and walk around the property.
Mm-hmm.
I might sit down and just kind of shake it off. I might go get us some water. I might like look at something on Instagram for a second. Just a few minutes, and then I get back to it. And then I time myself. I take the timer, set the timer, ready to go.
Okay.
Right. And these little blocks of time give me essentially a bite. Right. I've got a bite now. Right. So instead of what defines a bite, how long is it? It's 33 minutes. That's my bite. And every time I get that work done, there's some satisfaction associated with like grinding it out for that little chunk of time and then boom, doing the work. Good. I have to-do lists with very short-term goals, and they get longer, but a lot of times little things I can check off throughout the day. I'm getting that satisfaction of knocking that off the list. And so those things like short-term goals and to-do lists and using a timer and things like this, they give me bites associated essentially. And so jiu-jitsu, you want to give yourself the same thing. You want to give yourself some bites because again, it's a big thing. Jiu-jitsu is a big old elephant. And again, eating it one bite at a time, you don't really know because again, jiu-jitsu is a marathon, but again, it's kind of like a never ending marathon because it's never done. Mm-hmm. You're always going continuously. And so you've got to do things to, continuously give yourself things to go for. So the thing I like to do in jiu-jitsu is find different ways to sort of give myself bites. Now, these bites could be simply a competition, right? Give myself some goals to shoot for. It could be a competition coming up. Could be a particular technique or position I'm trying to hit. So maybe I give myself a goal to, all right, today when I roll today, I'm going to try to hit 3 arm bars from this position I've been working. Or maybe I've been getting to, like for instance, I was rolling recently and I was doing a bunch of 50-50 stuff. Mm-hmm. All right, cool. Then my goal today is I'm going to try to get to 50-50 from a back mount escape 3 or 4 times today. I have a few setups for it, right? And so, all right, this is what I'm going to try to do today. And so you do these things, you have these goals, and when you leave, you're like, okay, you took a little bite today because you did something intentionally. There was intentional, like something or other to it. Where you could have went into a gym and trained and got a lot of good stuff out of it, but because you didn't really know what you were after, you don't really know. Because we can go into the gym, and it's very easy to just go with the flow. And so giving yourself some things to focus on, just like, like I'm talking about with my work, being very intentional with what I'm doing. Same thing with the mats, right? Being very intentional with what you're doing, break it down into chunks, whether it be getting to the position, submitting people with a particular movement. Maybe it's just making it 3 rounds. Maybe you're brand new in jiu-jitsu and you're like, all right, man, every time I roll, I get exhausted and I have to take a round out. Okay, well, now we're going to try to roll 2 consecutive rolls. Or, hey, maybe you've been rolling for a little bit. We're going to try to do the whole rolling session without taking 1 round off. There's little things you can do like that can give you some satisfaction, and also they can represent a very small thing in sort of the greater whole of jiu-jitsu, right? So that's the first thing is to, think of the elephant biting, like breaking it down in one time at a time. Have little small goals that you can chase on the mat regularly. So this way you have something to shoot for rather than it just being some random, all right, I'm training today. What are you doing? It would be like going to the gym and like, all right, what are you working today? I don't know. I'm just going to like grab this weight and that weight. I'm going to do this and that. Like you have no goal. You have no focus on what you're doing.
Right.